They say pain leaves a mark, but what if it shaped the world around you? Twisting the trees, crackling the earth, and drawing monsters from the shadows. South of Midnight is a journey through the American South like you've never seen it before, where sorrow doesn't just live in memory, it stains the land, calls out to creatures, and whispers through songs. You play as Hazel, a young woman caught in the aftermath of tragedy, suddenly gifted with strange powers and thrust into a world woven with folklore and grief. It's a place where southern myths come alive, where haunted bottle trees line the path, and the only way forward is through soothing the pain of others. This isn't a story told in explosions or fast-paced thrills. It's a slow burn, heavy with emotion, where every moment asks you to stop, listen, and understand. If you're the kind of player looking for spectacle, this might not be your stuff. But if you're ready for something different, something handcrafted, heartfelt, and deeply human, then let me show you what South of Midnight has to offer.
What was that?
Hazel lives with her mother in Prospero, a lovely town located in the southern US. One day, a terrible storm approaches, causing destruction and massive flooding. While preparing to get to safety, Hazel's mother sends her to check on the neighbors while she finishes packing.
You sure you don't want some punch?
I gotta go check on Mrs. Pearl.
However, while Hazel is away, the foundation gives way beneath their trailer, which gets swept away in the river with Hazel's mother still inside. After an adrenaline-fueled chase, Hazel catches up to the trailer, but falls into the water. However, she is magically saved, and the trailer is long gone. Thus begins her journey through southern mythology and new magical abilities, all in the search of her mother.
How did I get back to the shore?
You won't find extreme violence such as blood during combat or body dismemberment. However, this game does earn its M rating due to adult language and quite a few small stories that can only be appreciated or understood by a mature audience. While exploring most of the game, fighting monsters and finding collectibles, you shouldn't have any issues if the kiddos wanted to watch. Early in the game, Hazel discovers she can wield the abilities of a weaver, a special person who can see the pain that people exude after years of torment and punishment. This pain, left to fester, can begin to affect the surrounding land, attracting Haints and other foul creatures that cause problems for everyone. While the issues are only visible to a weaver, it is their responsibility to destroy the Haints and bottle up the hurt in an area, eventually soothing the old pain and bringing peace. Extreme issues manifest as Stigma. Large areas surrounded by Haints must be traversed by Hazel before she can address the problem. Once the Haints are handled, Hazel can use a bottle to capture the Stigma, rewarding her with visions of the victim's life and the origin of the pain. After bottling 4 Stigmas, Hazel will be chased by a mysterious black cloud until she finds a safe area to cleanse the pain.
You shouldn't be here. Let us remedy.
Who's there?
As a weaver, Hazel has access to various abilities that she can use to traverse the land and defend herself in combat. Scattered throughout the game and earned by defeating enemies, Floof is the currency required to upgrade abilities. All her abilities will unlock quickly at the beginning. However, reaching their maximum potential will be limited by the story. When the abilities are powered up, they enhance combat significantly. So it's wise to explore off the beaten path for more Floof. Between bouts with Haints and various story moments, you must navigate these sometimes treacherous paths from one point to another. Hazel can utilize her skills as a weaver to double jump, glide, and bring ethereal objects to life, allowing her to climb even higher. You will encounter many platforming sections in the game, occasionally involving puzzles that clear a path for Hazel. Some aspects may feel repetitive, but the changing environments create a stunning scene as you progress through them. Combat in this game is very straightforward. Attack, dodge, or use weaver skills to weaken enemies into submission. At the start, there are very few types to worry about, with tougher Haints being introduced as the game progresses. There are a few boss fights throughout the game that involve a little more than your regular combat, requiring you to think and move quickly to win. The music in South of Midnight was very powerful. Not that it had any effect on the game mechanics, but it was fascinating to listen to the songs. All of them were about the problems suffered by the people you were saving. After learning about their past and how their hurt came to be, each song unique to the situation with different styles and singers.
I said goodbye, I said farewell, I took my hammer, my ticket to hell.
I would love to hear any thoughts or questions you have about the game or my reviews, so leave me a message in the comments below. And while you do that, let's move on to my final thoughts and ratings. From the start, I was a huge fan of the animation style used in this game. It was an interesting experience playing a stop-motion style game. At first, it felt a little jarring, almost as if I were experiencing lag, but it quickly became the norm. It reminded me of some of the old movies I used to watch as a kid. However, if someone really did not like the look, there was a setting to turn it off, allowing everything to move a bit smoother.
I gotta drop you off fast.
The adventure Hazel embarked on throughout the game was exceedingly well crafted. Learning about weavers and the sad history of those living around Prospero created an amazing narrative. Although some of the tales from the past were rather dark and depressing, they did not detract from the overall experience. The use of Southern folklore was exciting. I always loved to learn more about a given mythology, and I've never encountered anything I ran into in this game. I ended up having to do some research on the side to learn about bottle trees and stories of a huge alligator with only 2 toes. Furthermore, the music's connection to the events in the game was a captivating concept. While I may not be a fan of the chosen genres, I can still appreciate the beauty in the art presented. I loved both the overarching story and the smaller tales found in each chapter.
Ropes' bell had him doing tricks.
Figuring out the mechanics used in the game were very straightforward. Basic platforming to get through a level and combat instances found throughout. There were a few fights that felt difficult, but after I found enough Floof and powered Hazel up, basic combat became a trivial affair. Beside the boss fights, combat became very repetitive with so few skill options to use. As much as I enjoyed the story, I would not feel compelled to replay South of Midnight. There are a few achievements to work toward if you wanted to explore and discover everything, but there isn't much that would pull me back into this game. I enjoyed learning the game, and the new skills I unlocked as I progressed provided me with greater movement capabilities. However, the repetitive nature detracted from my overall enjoyment. Exploring beautiful scenery and learning about the past was wonderful, but the monotony was never alleviated. Large chapters involved me moving from Stigma to Stigma until I had 4, followed by fleeing from a shadow monster, while smaller chapters featured some Floof to find while searching for the exit. The game did introduce new challenges in the form of enemies and various environmental puzzles, but I was much more focused on advancing for additional story.
Oh, I'm not as slimy as I look. Don't you want to find your mama?
And with that, I want to condense these final thoughts into numbers so we can figure out where this game belongs on my shelves. The visuals were phenomenal. I loved the stop motion and the characters looked great. I would absolutely give this a 5.
What the hell?
Hurry up!
The story was equally as great. A wide range of emotions were felt throughout, and the small stories fit in perfectly. That's another 5.
Bad people always prey on those who stand out.
The gameplay got the job done. It was repetitive and not challenging, but worked the way it was intended. I'm giving it a 3. Not much replayability. Other than picking up any lost achievements missed on the first playthrough, I don't see any reason to revisit. That's a 1. I had little fun getting through the game. It was entertaining and I loved the story, but fun seems like a strong word for what I experienced. I'm giving it a 2. Giving South of Midnight an average score of 3.2 out of 5, earning it a spot on my top shelf. While having great graphics and an amazing story, it falls short in terms of gameplay and fun. It came out on Xbox Game Pass, so if you have access to that service, I would say it's worth checking out if you want a more unique experience. Otherwise, you're safe to wait for a sale. If you don't think this is for you after listening to everything it has to offer, check out the list of other games I reviewed over there. We can definitely find something you would want to play.